Okay.
So my question to you, and I hope my signal's okay. We're in Florida too. We're
Okay.
sitting outside looking at this
Right.
hurricane. So I
Right.
hope you can hear me.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So my question is for you, for those that are considered on the spectrum, right?
Right.
Autistic, ADHD, or anything like that, who may be fragmented.
Yes.
What would your advice be for those who are in their life?
Okay. Let me, if you don't mind, could you give me your email? And
As,
I'm going to send you uh the countermeasures to the thing that they gave
okay.
to
Okay.
me.
It's ascending infinite goddess at Gmail.
A
So
S C E N D I N G I N F I N I T E GODDESS
yes,
dot
sir.
at
Gmail.
Gmail. Okay, I'm going to send you the countermeasures that I send to people who have been afflicted with that attack. What you're going to do now is you're going to go to, say, um, Whole Foods, or if you have a place where they sell, so-called health foods,
Yes, yes,
go to the refrigerator section where they have the high potency probiotics.
yes.
Okay,
We
and
give.
you give him 150 billion.
Okay.
You want to step it up. So
Okay. Yeah, we're not giving him enough. So okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
what you want to do is make sure. I better, it's best that you call me. Just go to 800, my 800 number, 800
Uh huh.
847
Uh huh.
1291,
Okay.
and just leave your information there, and I will call you when my uh, my assistant, my administrative assistant, she picks up my messages. Uh, Sometimes she waits for about 3 or 4 days before it happens. But I would suggest to you definitely that first of all, the child's nutrition, that
Mm-hmm.
he needs to get double and triple doses of the Juice Plus, because that feeds the DNA. That's number
He
one.
takes it.
Yeah,
I order, and he takes. They send me a free one because he's a child, so he
right.
does take it.
But you're gonna have to triple up on it. You're gonna have
Okay.
to triple up and give him doses, because
Okay.
his circumstance right now, he's fighting from another realm.
Yeah.
Okay, and he wants to come back, but it's not what it is that's not getting through. You have to understand that it's everything is getting through.
Yeah.
He has no filter,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's why he seems to, what do you call it. So what happens right now? It's not that he has no control over the ability to, like you and I would block out something, like if there's some kind of irritative noise and you're doing something, you could do that. He can't. So we have to be able to get to the part of his brain, the frontal
Hmm.
lobe, that has the ability to discern what he wants to pay attention to and what he can't, and what he doesn't want to pay attention to. So the first thing you know is, of course, is that any autism, and whatever the spectrum, it's in the bowels. It's
The
in
gut.
the
Yep.
bowels. It
Yep.
is not in the brain, because that's the incidental. The poisons have located themselves within the lining, into the lumen of the stomach, and inside of the intestines. So that's where you have to address that particular area. That area is very important when it comes to that. And we've seen people who are on the spectrum who are dealing with Juice Plus. We can't say anything about healing. We can't talk
Right.
about healing, but we've seen remarkable changes in children's attention span who are on the spectrum.
Okay.
Okay, you have to double and triple up on it. I'm not saying that as a sales pitch or anything like that. We've seen what the work has done. So we're telling you what we know works.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the call, Sending
I
Infinite.
appreciate you.
All right,
Yes.
all right. Peace.
Take
Peace.
care.
Yeah, I'm glad you was able to help that sister, Doc. She's a regular. She calls up, real big supporter. So
Great.
definitely we're gonna take a what? We're gonna do one more.
One more.
Yeah, we're gonna do one more, then we're gonna get out of here. Let's uh let's get the Prince. Prince, what's happening?
Ah,
Cool, excellent. Hey, how you guys doing?
All
good.
right.
How are you?
Wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. All right. So basically, I have three incidents, and it all has to do with basically gold, basically. But it all has to do with the same thing, basically.
Okay.
So all three of these incidents all happened at night. Um, the first time it basically happened was I was basically just at my windowsill by myself, and I felt like something just whispered to me, but it wasn't words, just something spoke to me. It made me want to just sit straight up with my back straight up like this, and then a golden light came up my spine up to here, right? And then I saw three golden wheels happen
Ah,
right there,
okay.
right? So as I saw that, I saw another image. Is basically like imagine a shovel. One end is the handle, and on the other hand, at the other end, you know the where you pick up the dirt at. Imagine a hand is on that end of the shovel, right? So then another incident happened to where I'm a singer. I do music as well. So I'm basically at my windowsill again. Again, this happened during a full moon. I was basically, you know, you have your inner voice. You sing to yourself. You're practicing a song, whatever. I'm practicing an original song to myself, and then I basically saw this like golden castle, and then a snake crawling up the golden castle to the top of it. So that incident happened too. And then I had a dream where basically I saw this gigantic, you know, in Power Rangers, they have those Megazords. All right, so imagine a gigantic Megazord, but it's complete, and you're in complete darkness or the space, but it's all gold, shining bright, in like space or whatever.
Have you do you listen to music as well?
Yeah, my whole family does music. Yeah.
Okay. Um, there are certain songs that trigger Kundalini energy,
Okay.
and when you listen to them, they have a tendency to either excite and ignite or to sedate. So I would start with certain songs by Mozart, and I'm telling you, as a musician myself, once being a musician and singer myself, there are certain tones and octaves that trigger that snake that you were talking about. It's called the Nibanika fire, which is the so-called Kundalini energy. That energy, essentially, especially in a young man, is sexual energy turned to creative energy. And when you see gold, that gold essentially is a destination. Gold, when you're dealing with gold, you're dealing with destinations because that's the epitome. That's the pinnacle. That's light, and it's very masculine. So there are certain things that you need to do that's physical. First of all, you need to either press weights or you need to do isometrics. You need to do something physically concentrating on yourself, your physical, because that spiritual part of you is more active than the physical, and the physical is going to need to be strong in order to get what you're getting. And you need to be definitely writing down what it is this is happening. You have to get yourself a book or some kind of ledger, and every time you have one of those epitome moment or epiphany moments, write down what you felt, and that becomes the music that your spirit and your soul is trying to teach you from within. Okay, because it comes out as a puzzle, and what you're looking at is a puzzle, and the spirit is trying to speak to you in the form of symbols, and you're supposed to articulate it in the form of words so that you can have that connection between you and your soul, you and your spirit. That's the part of you. That's the ancestor genetics speaking to you. Very few people have that particular ability to speak to
Gotcha.
their ancestors directly from their genetics. You're getting it in the form of symbols. If you're getting it in the form of symbols, write down what those symbols mean, and you become more and more. And you wouldn't have to write after a while. You'll find a whole book when you go back. You'll see, wow, it becomes like a movement, in your development. And after a while, you put the book aside and you become one with that thing that you see. It is no longer going to come out as golden visions and so forth because you become what it is that message was trying to get you to see and become. You see what I mean?
So not observe it, but become the message, not just
Become
observe
the
the message.
message and the observer, because what it is your observer is just looking at a puzzle that's displaced at this time. Okay, and the observer is trying to become the nexus through which to filter that message to you. And your message, your observer is good because it's picking up all the little hints that's coming at you. But write down those hints, because you can't actually cement that into the meaning that it's trying to give you from within until you can intellectually articulate it and decipher it after you've gone back over it.
Gotcha.
You see what I mean?
Thank,
Yes, I
thank,
understand.
thanks for the question, Prince.
Thank you very much.
All right,
See ya.
You're
peace,
welcome, Bill.
peace.
Take care.
Yeah, somebody said he is a great channel. I think you're referring to Dr. Valentine. Yeah, Doc, when you answer questions from the people, I don't get to see that side of you. You're real good at channeling. Like you're able to read them and channel information on the spot like that. I didn't know you was that good of a channeler, Doc.
Well,
That's
I do that. I do that.
impressive.
Well, I do that when I'm talking to my clients. When the people talk
Mm,
to me and they have certain diseases, and
mm,
they tell me that they have this and that, and I tell them, Mama Azula told me that I can listen to a person's voice and know exactly what it is that their spirit is saying. And so
mm.
from that time, I began to hone and listen to the resonance of people's voices and hear what they have to say. And when they say it, something just comes to me and I tell them exactly what it is that's necessary. And it fascinates even to this day, it fascinates my wife that when we're on the end talking and initiating conversation to help heal a person, I
Yeah.
start breaking their whole life down, and the person
Wow.
will say, oh my God, you know. So
It
it's all right.
that's rare because usually somebody's like you're a top-notch researcher, and usually the top-notch researchers they don't get into the channeling too much, but you're like good at both of them. That's a good combo right there to have, brother.
Well, I took that was the first thing I did when I began studying metaphysics. I began to stop the physics and
Yeah.
deal more with the meta.
Uh, deep, 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 brother. Wow. Well, what a show tonight. I think that's it for today, family. Doc, any what else do you want to tell the people? Anything you want to?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing more than if they're interested in joining our university. If you've actually taken the first class, the initiate level, I am starting this next weekend, coming up on next Saturday. We'll begin part two, or the ascension level of the metaphysical psychology. And so, if you're interested in that, just go up to again www.uksnow.org and browse. And if you want to, you could put into your email into the contact link. But if you want to register, just click where it says register at the bottom, that is, and just sign up, and then you'll be in contact with our administrative assistant. On top of that, I'm also promoting my new website, which will be coming up soon. I'd like to do a little something with you on that when the time comes. It's called Webin Archive, which is going to have all archived all of my webinars and some of the ones that I might do in private to actually add to the inventory. And that's going to come up, Webin Archive. And of course, my wife's book and my book, Wounded Womb. If you're interested, just go to lulu.com for my book, Wounded Womb. That's Lulu, LULU.com, and just put in The Wounded Womb, Philip Valentine, and that'll put you right onto the purchase page. But above all, be on the lookout for my wife's book, the the one that's coming up at this point. If you put it back up on the screen and let the people see, I just want to promote her and let everybody know that her book will be coming out very soon. And New Life from Near Death, How to Prepare Your Life and Health for the Unexpected. And that's about it, brother. I want to congratulate you on what it is. I didn't get a chance to see what you were, as far as your reward was concerned. I didn't even know there was an award show
Oh,
going on.
Billy had an award award ceremony in Florida. Remember, Sonetta had one about 4 years ago, I think.
Ah,
And then I don't think he's had another one after that. but Billy kind of picked up where he left it, and he, Billy, he's into all types of alien stuff and stuff, like he's connected with all types of people. So
Yeah,
he got the award. Actually, let me show you it, Doc.
sure.
This is it right here.
Oh, congrats, bro.
I
Ah,
got
look at
event.
that.
I got event promoter of the year.
Of course. Of the decade, brother. What do you mean? Yeah.
Of the decade, Doc. Yeah. Oh, another announcement, family. Doc is going to be on Patreon this Friday.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil Valentine will be on my Patreon. So all the members, I know you're gonna look forward to that. It's gonna be awesome. Look forward to him this Friday. Are we forgetting something, Doc? That's
Let me see. Oh,
you
my
said school.
my PayPal. You
The
know.
PayPal. Yeah, I'll put all that. I'll put
Yeah.
everything in the description of the video.
And the other thing is that's pretty much it. Oh, you were right. The ISM, the homeschooling for children. For those of you who don't want them, the people who like to cross dress and do things like that, and if you don't want them teaching that in the school, then you should look at ismhomeschool.org. Just go up to ISM. That's I, S as in science, M as in Maat, homeschool, one word, ISM homeschool.
See, when we are live. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Brother Blue Pill, I am sitting in for our brother Rich. All right, I will be your guest host this evening for an amazing presentation. All right, we do not want to keep you waiting. We have our master teacher in the building tonight. Give it up for our good brother, your brother, Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine. Peace, my good brother.
Peace, beloved. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing.
Great.
This feels like a throwback to the one-on-ones that we used to do,
Oh, man, I miss those.
right? Yeah, shout out to Eye Opener Production. Shout out to our good brothers, um, Shabazz, our brothers Black Dot,
Mhm.
Christ, and everybody who was instrumental in that particular demonstration. This evening, we find you with a poignant message for the family. Do you want to elaborate?
Well, yeah, I am going to be holding a very uh, in depth webinar around what I have come to know after research to be the mother of all conspiracy theories.
Whew.
And it's around this particular conspiracy, so to speak, that's no longer a theory, it's a theorem. And
Yes.
because of the what I call the heliocentric myth, every other conspiracy has been built around it. And once we understand that the people that they call, the people with the aluminum foil hats, the
Yeah.
conspiracy theorists, the
Yeah.
flat earthers, and
They call
the
them
people who
tinfoil
they
hatters.
ridicule,
Yes.
they ridicule. The people who want to at least study the situation do not have a guidepost in order to know whether or not the fact that they ridicule it and suppress the information is true. Now, I was once the same because I refused a invitation to investigate this particular phenomenon back in the late 80s going into the 90s. And
Yes.
because I was not sophisticated enough to understand what was going on, the book that was given to me by a good brother, Gene Anderson, he used to be the one of the workers over at Weiser's bookstore, and he handed me a book called Worlds Beyond the Poles. And I went into it, but again, because it was written a certain way, it just did not jive. There's certain books you're not ready for.
You're not ready for it, right?
Yeah, you read, and I've read copious amounts of books. This
Yes.
one just didn't fit my narrative at the time, so I continued in my own illusion of what was going on until such time as, they say, and a child shall lead them. A young lady essentially shouted into the phone from the background, Dr. Valentine, the earth is flat. And I said, okay, where did I hear that before? And
Right.
it was from that point, she said, "You have to, yeah, you should know, you do blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay, I'll check it out." So about a week, 2 weeks later, I went back to the book that I had in my library,
Yes.
dusted it off, and I started reading through it, and the comprehension started coming through.
Right. You
And
were
the
ready
beauty,
now.
yeah, and the beauty of it was that when I read it for the time that I did, because my brain cells had matured a little bit more, I found out that it was the Vatican, the cardinal, who actually read this particular thesis by Amati, this Italian dude. When he read it, he got verified by this cardinal at the Vatican that everything he said was true.
Hmm.
But then when you go back into the history and you see Pope, I think it was Pope Paul VII, who actually made an encyclical that stated that we will now have all books state that the world is a globe after Copernicus.
Right.
And so, yeah,
We do know from history with Galileo and Copernicus and other individuals that the church once had a final say and a heavy sway on the dictates to determine whether, the planet rotated around the sun, or, it was earth centric, it was heliocentric at one point. At one point, I believe it was
geocentric.
geocentric.
Yeah,
So there's different perspectives, and they're always being dictated from what is considered to be the global authority on consciousness, if you will, which would be the Vatican, who sits as a vicegerent or a placeholder as the Godhead on this planet for divine intelligence, if you will. I mean, that's one hell of a lofty title to hold, but it's never explained even to their own congregants why there's an observatory at the Vatican, why their observatory is called Lucifer. you know, so for because people often say, "Oh, religion has nothing to do with astrology or astronomy or the observation of the stars," but that could be further from the truth. What do you think outside of the churches swaying the conversation? What else do you think it is about the populace that makes it so hard for them, to say, okay, I have to question any and everything that comes from this institution. Let's take a review of any and all things. And one of the most profound things that we could think of that they may be, you know, um, cutting the truth on is the location of where we exist in time and space. You know what I'm saying? Or as you say, the physical features of this plane of existence that we actually reside in. So what
well,
what
I
what
mean,
mechanisms are at play? How far up does this thing go?
well, it started like I was saying at the with Pope Paul uh, the seventh, or Pope Pius VII himself wrote the encyclical and essentially uh, coerced as well as threatened the congregate with excommunication. That if they did not follow through with saying that the earth was a globe and erase 10,000 years of knowledge, that they would be excommunicated from the church. And excommunication was almost a death sentence for people who were really into the Catholic Church at that time.
Yes.
So, what happened was the Vatican at that time was the censor and the editor of all books having to do with history and science throughout the Western civilization. So, Western civilization's books were first edited through the Vatican before they were
Yes.
distributed into the education system. So, from that point forward, after
Through
they
Texas.
murdered after they murdered Copernicus and buried him in a unmarked grave, because he didn't want to actually adhere to the heliocentric until after he died. But there was an insistence that he put it out there while he was alive to give it credibility. And then after it took on, they set one of his students, who he was teaching privately, poisoned him because he was one of the Jesuits, and the Jesuits used poison or the rope or the bullet. That's their creed. So from that point forward, the education system of the Western Hemisphere began to reflect that particular reality. And again, uh, everyone, the most periscopes and telescopes on Earth are owned by the Vatican. So the one Lucifer is one of the biggest ones, but most of the periscopes or the telescopes on Earth, especially in the Western Hemisphere, throughout Europe, and even throughout China and Africa, were actually set up by the Vatican. So they're the ones who essentially dictate what our uh, heliocentric so-called reality is supposed to be built on. So from this point forward, what I've intended to do, since people would be asking me, what's this about the flat Earth? Why am I wearing this? Why am I calling NASA lies? It's because the reality is that we are living in, like they say, the Matrix. And essentially, we are in a cloud of illusion and delusion. And I'm going to break it down ace, deuce, trace, scientifically, epistemologically, everything that they have done to mask the truth about what you're seeing, and then reverse the polarity on your perception. Not only that, I'm going to teach you how to time travel. The secrets of time travel that was actually dealt with was not through machines. This was the original technology for time travel. You had to tap into what was called the Akashic Records at that point. The Akashic Records is based in water, what we call water, but it's a fluid. It's a fluid, as they have now said in some of the ancient books, that the dome is actually created from a fluidic material, which is essentially what we call compressed hydrogen here at our university. So from that point forward, what I'm going to do is break down the first thing I'm going to do in the first part, because it's going to break down into about 5 sections, because that's how much information was actually suppressed. So what we're going to do, we're going to give you all of the ways that your mind has been manipulated first. We're not even going to get into the so-called flatted plane. It's not a flat earth, it's a flatted plane. We're not going to get into that until somewhere midway of the webinar itself. The first part is going to show you how you've been bamboozled, what they're doing to your brain, and what they're doing to the informational system that's in place to keep you inside of that matrix.
Hmm, absolutely. Um, I have I have followed your work down many roads. Um, I'm thinking about the days of, 2000 and 2001. When I was coming to class, and I was the only one under the age of 40, and I heard your message, and your message was that this information was way too important, to not be, one, acted on, or to two, to die in a room of people that not gonna make use of it. And
Indeed.
we sprung into action, and 20 plus years later, we're here, on a planet that seems to have been, if not inundated, definitely introduced to some angle or aspect of the conversations that we were having, in small rooms, you know what I'm saying, throughout the Eastern Seaboard.
Hmm.
Um, and because of that, our ability to be patient with the information. There was many things that was introduced to me in 2000 I wasn't necessarily ready for, because I didn't have the life experience, right? I didn't necessarily have the backboard to bounce everything off of. But then you have the teachers, you have the master teachers, and we have a tendency to, you know, give our master teachers the benefit of the doubt, because we're like, I don't quite yet know, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna trust the big homie because I trust the big homie. And you have shown exceptional leadership in that respects, because everything that you share with us has come into full fruition. And like you said, these were once things that were considered to be quote unquote conspiracy, and now we can sit here and go through many of Valentine's prophecies, if you will, right? Things that you called a long time ago. Take today, for instance. Today is the beginning of Pride Month, and you at length kind of expose this agenda at least 15 years ago, right? When it was unpopular because you were being very specific and very graphic, very detailed, and you were jumping inside of people's living rooms, right? And shaking up family structures because you were calling forth parents to be attentive to the things that were taking place. I saw a commercial the other day, and it was Beyonce on tour, and she was projecting a message on stage, and it was saying that it was talking about mind control, right? And it was saying that media, he who controls the media controls the mind, and we know where these ethos and these themes come from. But at the same time, as she is putting people under a state of mind control, she's telling them about mind control, and we and that's the Hegelian dialect right there. So we see the effectiveness of these techniques that, again, not too long ago you were pointing them out, and there wasn't that much, you know real time data to weigh it against, but now it seems to be everywhere, and it's on the tongue of people, conversing about what they're conversing about. In the state of Florida that you are in, there seems to be a political uproar pushing back against this level of programming. Can you speak on that? Where this conversation has taken itself, the political climate around it, the fact that it's now a global conversation, and what are the ramifications moving forward as we as a people are attempting, to position ourselves for a continuity of our bloodline, of our species. Is the species on the ropes? Is there more of a sinister underlying agenda at play to knock us really out the box?
Yes, you hit it right on the head. There has been a plan in place for the last 100 years, first of all, to essentially destroy the United States from within. Back in the day, say in the late 80s, going into the 90s, especially during the 90s, when Oprah ascended the throne, so to speak, of feminism, um,
Hmm.
I was the countermeasure. I became the countermeasure to that, and was attacked a lot by our sisters and some men, not realizing that in my book, The Wounded Womb, I began to put down all of what I foresaw the empowerment of women. Not I don't call it empowerment. I call what's happening to women today is the weaponization of women. And
Yes.
when you give certain powers to a woman without any responsibility for the not the best parts of them, but the worst parts of them, what then there's an underlying current of control. There are puppet masters that are essentially using what would be the worst of what women really represent when given power. And that then began to undermine the authority, the primary authority of the man, which was essentially a tactical strategy that Sun Tzu spoke about when you wanted to destroy a more powerful enemy. When you want to destroy a more powerful enemy, you attack the men. But if the men are powerful, you can't take your army to them. You have to beat them before you even